Good evening, everybody. My name's Chad, and Jamie's with me tonight. We're talking about Red Mill tonight, aren't we, Jamie?
Yes, sir, we are.
All
You
right.
know it.
We're talking about the review of evidence from Red Mill, or at least the personal experiences that people had, things like that.
Yep.
So we went to Red Mill. Well, first of all, how was your week, Jamie? How are things going?
How's the week go by? Like we were just here last 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It's super fast, super fun. I had a pretty fun weekend actually. I got voluntold into a STEM event at the Lancaster Public Library, and I got to shoot catapult with little palms on it across the room, and then kids got to do the same as the school age kind of event was going on. So it was 4 hours of fun. I feel every second having to pick up those palms though, because I'm getting old. So, but yeah, pretty good stuff. Stuff. But what's going on?
I actually got to represent the team over at the Carlisle Barracks. They were doing a lantern tour, and we weren't doing any investigation there because there's a reason. But we were doing they were doing a lantern tour, so they were doing the history of the campus and the barracks and the some of the stories of hauntings or ghosts that may be there. And David Daramidi was there because that's where he works. So he was telling about experiences he's had there. And then I got to talk about the team and what we do and how we investigate and show some of the tools we use. But we've promised not to investigate there out of respect for the Native Americans who were there as students and just the land in general. So, but it was a pretty cool experience. So,
okay.
And then I had a birthday party on Sunday, but
that happened too. I totally forgot about that.
So, anyway, so back to Red Mill. We were there Labor Day weekend, the Saturday Labor Day weekend. We had teams from Jotnix, New Jersey, and Jotnix Eclipse. We were at the Red Mill. I'm forgetting the slides as usual. So yeah, we were at the Red Mill. That's a shot that I took that night. Pretty cool venue. Let's see, we had a big group of people investigating. That's the whole group there with our members and Daryl and our special guests. Speaking of special guests, Heather and Bert, you know them, right?
I do very well.
That night they were inducted as honorary members of Jotnix Paranormal. So we're going to bring them in and say hello. Hi, guys.
Yes.
Hi.
So I guess we can say welcome to the team now, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's officially official.
So we're glad to have them on board. They're really great investigators. We appreciate everything they do with us. And I think they're fun to investigate with. So I appreciate it.
You two are our favorite to investigate with. So.
Oh, wow. I appreciate that.
You're just saying that because we're here.
That's just between us.
But I'll take it.
So let's see. We also had that night, we had Daryl Marston, Jamie, which you know fairly well. Chris Mendez was there. Ron and Lourdes with Staticom were there. I got to work with them all evening. And they brought along Scotty the Medium. He was also there. He's somebody that's sort of well known in the world, the paranormal world. So it was interesting to work with him as well. So yeah, that's who was there. And then we had our team members. We've got a couple of them here tonight. Let's see. We're going to add Amanda and Kelly from Jotnix, New Jersey, and Kirsten from Jotnix. So everybody, welcome tonight.
Yeah.
Just want to pop through a couple more pictures here. We had several different things going on. We had investigations, we had food, we had some merchandise, we had to show and tell equipment, and then we had a campfire. Daryl was signing his books, but it was a pretty fun evening. So I'm sorry you missed it, Jamie.
No, that's okay. I'll get there next time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll hear all about this though.
So let's get rid of that. We'll bring everybody in. I'm just going to sort of open it up to the floor. Bert and Heather, you want to start since you're
Let
the.
me ask you. Hold on. Let me ask
Oh,
you
go
a
ahead.
question, guys. So, my curiosity has me here. So, we did an episode on the Red Mill. So I have some familiarity, but I've never been. Like, I've been present on the location. So my first ask of you guys is, before you get into the experience of the evening, what was your impression of the place when you arrived? Like, what did you first see? What did you first think? Coming, I don't know if you parked on the riverside or on the other, on the Clifton side, Clinton side. But what was your first thoughts when you saw the place finally, after like doing some research, knowing a little bit more than all the stuff that you knew before you got there? What was it when you got it? How about Kirsten? Why don't
We
you go first?
actually had a feeling
Or
before
not?
we even got there.
Okay.
Uh, to us, when we weren't even in town yet. I don't think we were coming up to Clifton or Clinton, and it just, to us, we got the feeling of residual.
Yeah, I didn't feel there was going to, in my opinion, I was like, oh, this is going to be all residual because nothing evil has happened there. No major deaths. Yes, I mean, during workers, they could have got hurt and everything, but I kind of got like it was a good feeling. Just a lot of residual. I didn't think we were going to capture a lot. Like I said, this is just going to be a lot of probably some maybe EVPs and, just hearing some things maybe, but that was kind of my feelings going towards it. But when you come up to it, it's impressive. It's beautiful. It's absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous. I mean, what did you, I think, Chad, you were the one that said that it's one of the most photographed mills.
Yeah,
And we were talking about it before. I mean,
yeah.
it's picture perfect. It's beautiful. And the little town connected to it was really nice.
Which they were actually shooting a movie in the town that night. They parts of it were shut down because they were filming something that night. So,
Cool.
but it is very picturesque.
Kirsten, what do you think?
Um, I kind of was the same with like Heather and Albert. I thought there wasn't going to be much. I found the place very peaceful to be at. I kind of at one point just went off and kind of took a walk on my own, and I felt very calm and relaxed there. I was astounded by how big it was. I wasn't really expecting it to be that big, but yeah, I had a very calm, peaceful feeling there, and yeah.
Same, yeah. There's like a really nice setting there right along the river, and the building itself is just adorable. And like exploring the property is super cool. I spent time walking by myself as well, just to like get the lay of the land and take some pictures on my camera. And just it did feel peaceful there. And there's a lot of neat like angles and like the way they built the buildings there, and just the mill itself. It's just adorable. It's a very nice property.
Yeah, I mean,
The chairs down by the river to sit in the chairs. You could sit and watch the swans going around. That was really nice.
I went in kind of with just like with an open mind. I always go in not expecting anything, just going in like, let's show me what you got. So it was cool. It was just a really neat place, just like everyone's saying. Just the history and like the architecture in itself, just experiencing that is really cool. And then on top of it, you add in that paranormal aspect, and it's just like bonus on top. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Tim's comment hits it on the head. It looks like something out of a Hallmark movie at Christmas time.
Yeah. I know Scotty, the medium, was standing out. I know Kelly and myself did helped with the registration in the beginning, and he was standing out there talking to us in the beginning. And I know he was saying that he saw this man that was like waving him in, kind of like somebody who like a horse and carriage guy, like directing him down. And the cool thing was that he didn't know anything about the property or whatever, and it was like leading him down to the barn area or something. It was kind of cool. So that was neat.
Yeah. Talking about how large it was, I'm just going to throw this map up again. It was actually your map, Jamie, from your show. So yeah, the area is fairly big. We were in that area. We were staged in that area behind the blacksmith shop, between the carriage house and the restroom. Sort of, that's where the pavilion is now. So it was to walk from one end to the other took a few minutes. So
Okay. So, what are your thoughts of what you experienced there? This is a loaded question, obviously, because you had a lot of time and a lot of opportunity to move around. So, not you go as much detail or as little detail as you want. But it's you all kind of felt something, kind of So, did it meet the expectation? The experience meet the expectation of what you felt, or was there more to it, or something totally different?
Well, when we walked the grounds together before everything got started, and we just got going, and we were passing the tenant house, and that was the only place where I really felt felt drawn to. And I told Bert, I said, someone died in there. I said, I can feel it's a not young boy, maybe 18, 19, 20, around there. And I kept hearing bang. And I kept thinking, oh, well, that's because there was explosions and everything with when they were breaking up
The car.
the quarry and everything. And I was thinking bangs from that.
Mhm.
And then I went in, we walked past it and went around and looked. And as we were walking by it again, I got drawn to it again. And I'm like, no, it's a gunshot. I said, I felt a bang and a gunshot. And I said, somebody was killed here. And then I hear in my head, I heard, no, somebody wasn't killed. And I couldn't figure out what that meant. And then I sat and
Accidental.
it was accidental. And I knew nothing about the property before we got there. And I just sat for a while, and I got that somebody accidentally shot themselves in the tenant house. And when we went back down and started talking about everything, and everybody's getting ready to go with the investigation. Was it Melissa that told us?
Tim.
Oh,
Was
it Tim? Or, I can't remember if it was Tim or Melissa, but one of them told us that there was a man that was cleaning his gun, and it was a young man, and that he accidentally shot himself and died in the tenant house. So that was my first experience that I had.
She seemed to be, when we went back and we're checking it out further, it seemed like the mother was stuck there grieving.
But then I was told the mother didn't live there. But it wasn't the boy it was a woman's voice telling me about it happening. But they said the mother wasn't there, but she was. I mean, she might have not been there when it happened, but it was a mother there sad. She couldn't get over that it happened there.
That's a cool find. Yeah, and that was one of the startling things for me. And because accidents are tragic. And obviously violence is bad too. But when you're just kind of doing your business with something, and the discharge happens, it's sudden. And I can understand why there would be energy still there. Someone would still be there because they weren't planning it. So that was very cool pickup.
We actually set a camera up, and it ran for 40 minutes while the bonfire and everything was going on. And there was one maybe light anomaly, but caught on the camera. So
is that light anomaly the one that everybody was talking about, the glowing stones in the fire? Or was
actually have
No, that was in
that small cabin out by the bonfire.
Okay.
Yeah, the log cabin is where the shadow guy was with the glowing limestone and stuff.
The shadow guy too.
Yeah, we saw the shadow guy a lot actually. Kelly, myself, and Erica were all standing in there, and he was just like, "Oh, I felt like anxiety. Like I felt like he was like annoyed that we were there. Yes, like he was just like pacing
from the
like
far
he's like,
corner, from the far corner, and then it would come around and behind you and go back. It was like a pacing, and it would get real dark, like real dark. And then it was
like almost like he was like, get out of my house.
Yeah, it was really funny because we were in there with Chris Mendez, and I'm sure you've all heard the story about him at which prison was it?
Running Melissa over? Yeah.
You heard about that? Well, we have it. I was recording, and it got really bad to where we kept feeling like this figure come behind us, and Chris was like, "Oh, look, it's moving," and my husband said,
"The feeling of anger in there is
and
just
pacing,
overwhelming."
And he made the comment, "I've never had the feeling of fight or flight, but I feel it right now. And Chris Mendez says, "Oh, you're going to pull a Chris." So that was pretty funny. He was,
Okay.
yeah, but that
but-
was pretty neat. It was weird in there.
It was,
Right.
yeah.
So
It was.
let's address Denise's question here. How many of us were there that night? We had what, 30 some guests?
33 guests.
Yeah, I was going to
And-
say right over 30.
And then there were
33,
probably
yeah.
15, if not more, of us. So
15 to 20 probably, because
So
if you think Chris and then he brought Kelly and then yeah.
Yeah, so we were probably at 50 people easily. So could that have been upsetting the surroundings there?
I
be
think
good.
so.
I think partially, but I think depending where you were, they're used to, like, the spirits are used to like if you're in the mill itself, I'm sure those spirits were used to it. I'm not sure about the one in the house.
I don't think so.
Really?
It was the one, yeah, the one upstairs, like on the third floor, that they think was the person that like fell in the vat and died, or they think maybe. I know that our experience was, it was like they didn't want us there. Like they were shy, they were afraid, they were hiding.
It was quiet.
It was very quiet. We investigated with Daryl all night as well, and he was. It like came to him at one point, and I think because he investigated previously at the Red Mill, so he was like, "Do you remember me?" And it was like we had a REM pod, and then the K2 like kind of go off, and then at that point, that was like all the activity we got up there until we were leaving.
Yeah, and it was a little frustrating because it was our first spot of the night, me and Amanda as well, and it's a public investigation, so you want it to like go well. So there's that little extra pressure there too. So it was like we got almost nothing that whole time except that one interaction with Daryl. But then as we were all filing out, I was the last one out the room. I wanted to make sure it was just as we left it or as we arrived. But as I was leaving the door, I kind of felt like I got like a wind behind my back, thanks, get out of here now, bye. Like
a shoe.
like a gust at my back. It was a weird feeling, and I felt like it's time to go. Like I need to go. So yeah.
That's interesting. I was on the first floor the entire night. I was with Ron and Lourdes the whole night doing the Staticom, and it wasn't a portable system, so we were sort of set. So I feel like maybe maybe they were like what was there was getting comfortable with us because we were there over and over and over for a couple hours. And we were getting some interaction with through their system. And the one thing that stands out that I remember is we were asking what food they liked, and they liked peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I mean, it very clearly came through that it was sandwiches, and then we worked it out that it was peanut butter and jelly, not jam, jelly, or it was the other way. I can't remember which, but it was very specific. So
I know when I didn't experience it myself, but when we were with the Staticom, that was our first place that we were at.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting. I was, interested in what they were doing there. And right when we were leaving, I said, if there's any spirits here that can hear me and you want to communicate with us, I said, do me a favor. When the next group comes in following me, can you tell them that Heather said hello? Can you say my name to them, Heather? And we left and we went to they had us in groups, and we went to our next group spot. And when we came back to go over, what happened, they said, you're not going to believe what happened. They said right at the end, somebody said, did that just say Heather? And they didn't know I said that. Only Lourdes and Ron knew that I said it. And they were all like, oh yeah, we just heard Heather. And they said, it said your name right before everybody left.
Right. And then in another session after that, because there was a woman who did the same thing in that session and said, oh, okay, if you could give tell the next session my name, and they actually repeated both names in the next session. Wow. So there was definitely something intelligent there. So
yeah, but since they had to be stationary there with the Staticom, it was kind of a shame, because it would have been nice to be able to investigate, like when we invest with the two of you, like when we were at Clifton, where we could just be quiet and listen and have some EVPs and, have the light string and, have everything out. It would have been nice to be able, I think, like the four of us to sit in there. I would have enjoyed that, to see what we could have gotten.
So I definitely would like to go back with a smaller group. investigate sort of how we do as a team and a smaller group and not that many
Pick
people.
me. Pick
And
me.
bring Jamie
Please.
along too, of course.
I agree. Yeah.
Denise has another question. It said, "Do you all feel safe there?" Also, some may not. Some may like the company. So let's address the "Did you feel safe there?" question, because I know some people had feelings about this. So Kirsten, you want to go first?
Yeah. Overall, I felt pretty safe. The only place I really didn't feel welcomed was the cabin. However, I was dumb and kept going back in because I was fascinated by in there. I think I went in with like 3 different people, and each time was something different. But overall, there I felt pretty safe. I didn't feel like I was in danger at all, or something was going to try and harm me.
Hold on. I want to. Dumb is not the right word. It was dedicated. First
Yeah.
of all.
I mean,
and you followed one of the
Yeah,
major rules, and you didn't do it alone.
no.
So-
So yeah, the first time I went in with Morgan, and Morgan, like, she did a Chris. She left me in there.
That was
So-
bad. She was
Oh,
she
yeah.
was a mess. Yeah.
Yeah. I followed her out, calmed her down, went back in then with Zach from Eclipse, and it was like it was aimed towards me. We were in there for a little bit, left again, and then I went in with Melissa and Erica, and just watching Melissa's reaction to the shadow creature in there was very interesting.
She definitely felt something very strong in there.
You went in
Yeah.
right after we came out.
Yeah.
Bert and I were in with Chris Mendez and my new friend that I made, Melissa, but call her Melly. Hi. I know she's watching. She kind of clicked with me. She's a sensitive. And when we were going into the cabin, I, for some reason, got the name Jason, and she just looked at me and she's like, I just got the name Jason. And that happened in the schoolhouse with us too. We both got the same name in there. And she says, I never get names. This is weird. And we were just kind of synced up that night. It was nice investigating with her. She was in our group. So that was kind of neat being there and with her, because she was feeling that we were saying the same thing almost at the same time in that cabin. And Chris and we were like talking to each other, and Chris was just like, "Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that?" And then I thought, he's going to run one of us over. Somebody's going to get hurt. And it was very active. And then we even sent you out to walk around to make sure nobody was walking around the building or windows or anything, because we were like, there's no way, because it would get so black in there.
Mm-hmm.
It would go away, and then it would just move.
While we're talking about the cabin, I'm going to put Ed's comment up here, and I believe Ed's connected to the mill. He said the cabin is a replica that was built in 1970. It was another comment that was built in 1970.
Yeah,
So it's
we've
not-
seen that in the sign outside, and
We're like, this isn't even old.
Yeah, it caught me off guard because it wasn't like part of the rest of the mill.
But that could be
afterwards.
there could be a lot of reasons for that. It could be something that happened on that property. It could be an artifact that's in the mill that was brought in.
Or they're trying to go there to get away from everybody and everything else, and here we are popping in, and they're like, "Go!"
Yeah.
I don't know, but they're all 3 mad.
There was 3 men in there. I felt 3 men in there,
Mm-hmm.
and the one was making himself very known.
Yeah, he was.
So Melly had another comment here.
And Billy in the schoolhouse. Yep. Yeah, I had a William come to me. He said, "My name is William Holt," and he said, "William Holt, Holt." That's how he came to me. And right when she said Billy, right when then I'm like, Billy. And then also in the schoolhouse, we had an interesting thing happen. We were with Chris Mendez, and I felt a little girl, little as in 3 or 4, and I was getting the name Kimmy. And right when I was getting it, Chris and I both, and I think some of the other people in there, I don't know if you heard it, but I know Mel did. We heard a little girl's voice. We couldn't make out what she was saying, but it was like 2 syllables, and it was very loud. We heard it, and I got it on audio. So that was pretty cool in the schoolhouse.
Before we go on, I'm going to try to add Jim Bernardo in. I'm not sure how well it's going to work, but we're going to add him. He is an employee at the mill. We got to work with him that evening. Jim, are you there?
I hope so. Man, I feel like the
Oh,
old
I
man
like
in the
him.
museum here.
It's
I
Santa.
cannot- I
Yes,
cannot figure
Santa.
this thing out. I'm telling you, I belong with the ghosts. I should just stay in the middle and the bottom. That's it.
Well, Jim, we're
You
glad you
barely see him.
we can't really see you, but we can hear
I
you.
see
and
a
that's-
dot. Oh, look, there's two eyes. He looks like a
As
ghost.
long as you can hear me, I'm not much to look at anyway, if you guys remember.
You look like a
Yeah,
ghost.
it's Santa.
So. Yeah, that's who it is. Now you
Very
remember
helpful with
me.
our questions.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's so good to see you, all of you. And thank you so much for inviting me tonight. Again, you guys were amazing. I'm still getting responses from people who were there that night that just say how great everything was and what a great time they had and the amazing things that they discovered. So thank you all so much.
I'm glad we could be there, and thank you for the compliment. We appreciate it as a team. So.
Thanks,
So, Jim-
Santa.
Thank you guys. If you have any questions, again, I missed everything, but
Okay.
let me know if I could help in any way.
Well,
Well, hang tight, Jim. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep you into this, and feel free to comment or contribute to any of the thoughts that are presented.
All right, great.
I was just going to say, Jim, we were just talking about the cabin, and everybody had some experiences there, with something up there. Ed jumped on and said that the cabin was a replica built in 1970. But do you know any more about the cabin?
Yeah, that was about it. It was not an original building there, as the schoolhouse was moved from another location also. But it seems like some people came along with it because there's always activity in those buildings. Even people who come in just for a regular tour on a Sunday afternoon will come out of there and ask me questions because they felt something when they were in there. So it is definitely there's a lot of activity in those two places, even though they're not original buildings.
Okay.
So on a property of the age of this one, is there any record of another structure being in the space or in the general location of the cabin?
No, there might have been another type of cabin, but we don't have any documented pictures or anything from there. I know they said when military visited that they spent time in a cabin in the back and in the tenant house. There was usually so many people in the tenant house they couldn't get out, but they did mention another cabin that when military leaders came, that they used to stay in there, and whoever was there at the time had to get out of there.
Okay. Okay. So, guys, outside of the cabin, and some of the outbuildings, what about the mill itself? What did you find there? And when we look at a building the size of this, and it's a massive structure, right? Having multiple opportunities to be inside with multiple groups inside. Did you have any challenges with cross contamination, but any issues with other teams, or how do you feel? Did you hit it as hard as you could and you wanted to?
Oh yeah, it's incredible. And one of the things that I wanted to mention to get in, which they kind of don't talk about a lot there. If you remember that little white shack that was called Peg Leg Shack. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but he lived in there and he basically managed the quarry and kept an eye on the kilns. But he was also the grave digger in town, and he was quite a character, heavy drinker and everything. So part of the, again, not officially documented, were the fact that he buried people basically wherever he could. So part of the reason, back by the cabin, whatever was there before, there's a good chance that he might have put a few people in that area. So, we've tried to find some more proof of that, but obviously that kind of didn't go over well, thinking that they actually buried people back there. So, but I just wanted to let you know that, because that's another reason I think that there's a lot of activity in that area.
Interesting. Well, Jamie, to go to your question, I was in the mill, but I was on the first floor the entire time. So we weren't getting a lot of contamination because we were on the first floor and the third floor. And obviously what Ron and Lourdes were doing was fairly loud. Did anybody investigating the third floor have issues with hearing what was? So I think having that space between floors
Good.
helped, and the rest of the buildings were spread out enough that there really wasn't any
Okay.
contamination. Yeah.
Good.
So,
Yeah, and our team is like respectful enough that like if someone's walking by or something, they'll just be like, "Hey, we're walking by," like so.
Well, when you get 30 people plus, like obviously 30 people from the public, there's various degrees of experience. Some have none, right? And and then some are
Everybody
seasoned.
was great.
So you always run that risk, and we deal with that at the brewery all the time. We get and just things make noise. Like accidental noise happens. You just slide your chair a little bit, you lean a little bit, make something creaks, the floor or whatever. It happens, and it's just part of the natural process of people being in spaces. But when you deal with trying to intentionally be active investigators, it's even heightened more when there's something else that's distracting. I'll go back to Heather and Bert, you guys, and Chad. We were at West Virginia Penitentiary, and you know how that started. Everybody went everywhere and did whatever they wanted at first until everybody settled in, and it was just loud and awkward for a while. And then people were still stumbling upon each other at various points of the night because there was no plan in advance. So it's good that you had this strategy.
well,
So cool.
That's one thing you guys are very good with is keeping things organized, keeping groups separated, keeping people where they need to be, knowing where people are. And I think that's why the Red Mill went as well as it did. It was big. And
Right.
even though there was, would you say close to 50? There was like 33 guests and then you got, and all of us. I mean, even there were so many spaces to go and you kept everybody separated and then you come together at a meeting spot. So you can have your quiet time. You can have the smaller groups. You can actually investigate. But like you said, when we were the last place, it was free for all. And
yeah, well,
it settled down at the end. But
I wanted to talk about that because Jamie wasn't there. We actually had some guest request that they be able to go where they want for the last session, and not everybody.
That was Daryl's idea.
We've done that. We did that before too.
But it was
Daryl really wanted to see what Lourdes and Ron had going on, so he requested that we did like a free for all, and it actually worked out kind of cool because like we got to go see what they were doing, and I know you guys did, and it was cool. I think it worked out really well, and honestly, everybody that attended was awesome. I just have to say, like every guest, it was great, and everybody was professional, respectful. Everyone was just really cool. And a session really impressed me. We did like a burst EVP session that it was Tim's idea that we go around and I'll ask these questions. And there was like 15 of us or something in the schoolhouse. And the questions that people came up with, everyone was just like right away firing off these questions. I was so impressed. Like things you would like weird things, like what's your favorite, toy in the schoolhouse? What did you do on a Saturday afternoon? Like, I was like, wow, it was cool.
Okay. So the comment that we've got up here is Erica said someone in our group that Courtney and I were leading had an encounter. He's now a full believer. And her next comment was that the encounter was in the upstairs part of the mill. So I'm not sure if he was a complete non-believer when he came in or not, but apparently he's a full believer now. So not sure what happened. And Ed's comment to that, there's definitely activity up there.
Yeah.
So, Jim, do you have any input on some of the activity that happens up in the upstairs of the mill?
Yeah, that is where we've had the most information about actual encounters where people thought that they saw someone up there. There's constantly people saying that they're seeing somebody in the window up there, again, like a child. Also, that's where we've had 3 or 4 people during the week talk about seeing people they thought were actually reenactors and employees in the corner. So that happened the most up there. Mostly also the I want to say the scary tingles. I don't know the official name for it, but again, somebody will come downstairs just on a normal weekend tour, and they'll sit there shaking and say I was up there and I felt, chills, the hair on my back of my neck stand up, and I just needed to get out of there. So all different types of people have said that over the years repeatedly.
Okay.
So, and it's always seems to be the fourth floor or the wheelhouse room. Also, I've gotten a lot of reports on that. And that is where, by the way, quick story, we have our military reenactment that opens up our season in April. Those guys are really, really strict about their stuff, what they bring. Anyway, and it always rains. It rained at night. We let them put their stuff inside and hang it up. We locked it up. Nobody was in there. They went in the next morning. The boots were turned around. A shaving mirror was open. And those guys were definitely non-believers in the beginning, but they were freaked out by the end of the weekend because the stuff kept moving around. And I was the one who opened it the next morning, so I know it was locked and nobody was in there.
Wow.
But a lot of activity in that room. So,
okay. So I'm going to go back to Erica's comment. Tim actually said he was skeptical but open-minded, which is always good when you're an investigator. But then looking at Erica's comment as to why he was a believer when he left, he used to frequent the Red Mill as a kid and asked the spirits if they remembered him. They responded by lifting the cross on his neck. So I think if that happened to me,
out a little bit.
And he didn't pull a Chris.
He didn't.
Well, here's why. So you
got
a warm and safe feeling from this experience. So I'm having familiarity, seems to be a thing, with Daryl being there a couple of times now as well. He had that reaction as well. So it's, and this is like any place, we're privileged as a team to be able to go to the same place regularly, and not just be a guest. That's a, pop in, pop out kind of thing. The staff can say the same. Jim, I'm sure you and your team can say this too. Your comfort there isn't one where you're menaced or frightful to go to work. If it were, you wouldn't be there anymore, right? You'd move on.
Oh, absolutely. They are very friendly. When I open up and close, I say good morning, night. And other than a few times I thought they were calling me to go back, everything is always very pleasant there.
Yeah, you had a couple of helpers there that night, Jim, who said the same thing, that they've always had good experiences. I can't remember their names, but they're like a brother.
Michelle and Sean, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they are going to be so excited that you remembered their names. Yes, in fact, they're helping us.
They were
out
with
now
us like
with
all night. They
our
were so
haunted event.
cool.
Yeah, they had so much fun. They lasted longer than I did. I was beaten up, and they hung out there, and they couldn't stop talking about it for weeks.
Well,
and they're part of our
awesome.
team now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that was cool. We had like our own little personal tour guide with both of them, because we got like little behind the scenes stories, and Sean was like, "Oh, we can go in here, we can do this," and like it was really neat. They were great.
Yeah, can you thank them for us, Jim?
I will. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Oh, and I got to tell you too, just in case I don't get another chance, there were 4 women that came down, if you remember them, from I think New Hampshire or Vermont or one of those.
Yes.
Okay. They came back the next morning. Okay. They had such a great time, and they felt so much in a couple of spots that they talked about it all night, and they said they had to come back the next morning to recheck it, because they felt so strongly that they felt something, and they wanted to experience it again. But it wasn't, they said, the same as Saturday night, but they just felt so good about coming back Sunday. So I wanted to make sure you guys know it. That's how much they enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad it got some people back in for you too. So
yeah.
So Tim had another comment. Heather, you said you had a feeling about a mother being there somewhere.
The tenant house.
Okay.
Is where I was feeling and it was sadness from losing her son. But I don't think she was there alive. I think she came there after, because that's where her son passed.
All right.
And I also had a feeling when we first got there of people coming and going through there. You could feel almost like kind of like I get it when I'm at Boobies. I have the feeling of a lot of passer throwers. It's not just the resident spirits.
Right.
There's a lot of people coming and going through there. I've talked to many different ones that was like, hey, who are you? I met Charlie there. So I kind of got that same feeling at the Red Mill, but I think the mother stays there, even though she wasn't there when she was alive.
Okay. I'm going to use that as a segue to this. Southern End Paranormal Research is Heather and Bert's Facebook page. There's some videos that they have on there from the Red Mill, sort of documenting Heather's experience. They were like one was 5 minutes, one was 9 minutes. So it was a little long to play tonight. But if you check that out, I think you'd have to request permission to join. Is that right, Bert? And then
yeah, it's searchable. You just have to request to join, and I'll let anybody join. I just
yep, no.
I new at this, so instead of making it a group, I should have made a page. That way anybody could just go and like it.
But there's some information from here. There's other things that you guys have done, so it's definitely worth checking out. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Here's another comment that we had from Denise.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, you weren't on here when we were talking about that earlier. Heather, do you want to fill him in on what you felt with that?
When we first got there, the tenant house, we were walking by. I had a feeling that someone passed away there. Mm-hmm. And then we walked around, and when we came back, I was drawn into it, and I kept hearing boom, and I thought it was the explosions from the quarry, and I kept hearing boom, boom, and I was like, no, that's a gunshot. And then I'm like, oh, somebody was killed in here, and then I heard no, and then I was confused. I'm like, okay, and then a woman basically told me that her son was killed, and it was an accident. He shot himself, and then I said, I forgot. I was thinking, suicide, and I was, I said to Bert, I think somebody committed suicide, and I was like,
no, he was cleaning his gun,
and then it was, the gun accidentally went off. It was an
accident. He was cleaning the gun. Yep.
So, then I felt the complete sadness of the mother. Like the mom who was not there in life, but when she passed, that's where she is. She's just there mourning her son. And I don't feel him there. That was a weird thing. I said, I don't feel him there.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I find it really fascinating that you got this, and then Jim has the information to back it up. So I always find that really
as
amazing.
Soon as I walked by it, it was right there. It was
that was it. They were trying to figure his age. He was probably only like 12 or 13.
I was getting maybe 17, 18 around in there. It was a young man.
I know he was younger.
He was small.
Teens,
he had dark hair, and he was small, very thin. Dark hair,
there were actually more children that died there, but once again, they didn't want to make that well known because they used them for hard labor. They used them upstairs in the mill, and that's one of the reasons that a lot of people see young girl up on the 4th floor.
I just said to Bert, the little girl on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, there you go. They used to use them because some of this is pretty awful, but some of the machinery and things they used were really small and tight, and the adults couldn't get into it if something got jammed or fixed. So they used to have the kids do it, and sometimes it did not turn out well. I mean, it's awful, but it's back then there were really kind of, unfortunately, no rules, so that's why there were definitely more children that passed there. Also, a lot of sickness, obviously, in that era also. But I knew there were more accidents in the mill with children that again are documented because they didn't want to, basically too much of a record of that kind of would give a bad light to it, So, but that was when it first opened up.
Okay. Sure. Well, and Jim, that's a great point because we deal with stuff back here at the Booby's Brewery. It's an era in the 1800s, early 1900s, where first of all there wasn't a lot of documentation. There wasn't a required documentation, and things didn't get reported because there was no place to report it to necessarily. Right. There certainly was no OSHA. and regulatory controls that we have now that are, that became something because of things like this. But then you're absolutely right. People the leadership of these places didn't want people to know because they had to replace that person who had the accident. And all of a sudden the place gets a bad reputation and nobody wants to come to work there.
Right.
And operations slow down or shut down. And that's bad. So a lot of stuff got swept under the rug, if you will, or at least in the dark corners, and things just had to keep going. So they did.
Yeah, and jobs were really hard to find, and especially in an area like Clinton. And there were people outside, kind of unfortunately, just waiting for somebody to get hurt so that they can take their place because there were no jobs available.
Right. So it's a morbid way of getting employed.
Yeah, that's for sure. So don't forget, at one time there was probably 5 other mills on the river, but they all didn't make it. Most of it, because of fire, most of them burned down because of all that constant friction. And I don't know if you noticed on the floor too, even the fire buckets all have round bottoms on them. So they were always, I always tried to find out and asked if that was a thing, whoever invented it or they started in our red mill, because if they had buckets of water and sand on the floor, it was so crowded up there that people just kept kicking them over. So they invented these buckets with round bottoms, and they hung them up from the rafters so that they could grab them, and it would always have water and sand to put out the fires. So unfortunately, the other mills didn't have those, and they wound up burning down a lot quicker. So that's the one good thing about the mill. It lasted all these years.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I love pointing that out on school tours because everybody says, "What are those red buckets? Why are the bottoms round?" So there you go. Simple reason, but great thinking. Whoever thought of it, it's again, it saved the red mill. I look at it that way because it's still standing.
Yeah.
So Tim said that they got K2 hits in the schoolhouse when discussing indentured servitude as a possibility in the mill. So I find that interesting too.
We got some like interesting feelings and responses in the one what was it, the one building where they work. It wasn't the mill building, but the other, like the shack where there was a bunch of equipment and there's like just that little area that you can stand in. You guys know what building?
House, the tall one with the stairs.
Yes, that one. Yeah, that one. We actually got someone specific that was like coming through to us. It felt like, I know Scotty, the medium, was getting like this guy, I guess, that he said it was just like another day of work or whatever. I know personally, my experience, I felt like the person was kind of like hiding back in the corner with us. And as far as evidence goes that everybody could hear, there was tapping, like responsive tapping. Like Daryl kept doing, which the shave and a haircut thing, which I didn't know that's what it was called, but the thing where you go dun 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 dun. So he kept doing. Yeah, he kept doing the shave and a haircut thing, and he's like, "Man, I never had so many responses on the shave and a haircut in one night." Like, so that was cool, though.
Yeah, that was probably one of the worst buildings to work in because that's where they crushed and broke up the stones. So again, a lot of issues. By the time they blasted them off of the quarry wall, tried to carry them over, put them up the conveyor belt, spun them. A lot of accidents in there. So,
yeah, it was a very like sad, like redundant, like I'm just doing this to make a paycheck. I'm just doing this to make a paycheck. Like that's what it felt like in there. Like very
absolutely.
much
very heavy.
Yeah. Yes,
awful
exactly.
conditions. It was just absolutely. It's so opposite now. The mill is my happy place. Like it's amazing, but back then it didn't seem like too many people were happy because it was. You're right. It was work. It was a job, and it was. The conditions were awful. But you guys see all those places, and they're all basically from that era, or were the same. They were really fun to be around.
Right.
I worked in a quarry in modern times, and I didn't like it.
Well, we're at about 50 minutes, so we should probably wrap up. So, Jamie, we're gonna ask the question to the group that we usually ask between ourselves.
Yeah.
Haunted or not haunted? Heather and Bert, let's start with you.
Haunted.
Yeah. Yeah, a
Okay.
lot of residual.
Yeah.
A few active.
Okay. Amanda and Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, I like somebody else said. I would like to go back with like less people to get more
Yes.
intimate experiences, but I definitely think there's a lot of stuff there. Yeah.
In the actual mill, it would be very nice to be able to, because it was too loud. There's too many people. Everybody wanted to be in there, so
Yeah.
you just couldn't really focus or investigate.
I agree.
Yeah.
It felt like chaotic. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Kirsten.
definitely still like feelings though. You can
Yeah.
definitely tell there's something going on there. So
Yeah. Kirsten.
Definitely haunted. I'm with everyone else. I want to go back.
All right.
Your
Oh,
cat's
wait,
poking
wait,
up
wait.
behind. There's like ears
Yeah.
poking up
Yeah.
behind you.
Oh yeah,
Melly Mel says haunted. Jim, we're going to ask you too.
I agree.
Oh, no doubt about it. Okay.
Oh, you can see
I
him.
hope when you come back that you could see, or what I do when I go in there in the morning at night by myself, when nobody else is around, the town is quiet, especially in the winter. It's mind-boggling walking through there and the feeling, that you get when it's stone quiet. Like I said, even in the morning, it's amazing, and so many things would happen that it won't take up so much more time. But anytime you want to rack my brain, I've only been there 3 years, and I've seen and experienced more than I have in all my old age years. So it's a pretty amazing place.
Okay. Well, great. Jamie. I mean, you've heard what everybody experienced. What do you think? I mean, I know you haven't been there.
Yeah, this is hard for me. I have, that's why I wanted to do the episode, the advanced episode, to have some background on it. I say this about a lot of places. There's too much history and too much opportunity, for it not to have activity. And but I'm going to say yeah, probably, but I'm saying only probably because I haven't experienced it. So I want to get there. And Jim, can we just get a reservation set up now while we're here?
You guys
Let's
are
go.
welcome back anytime. Absolutely.
We'll be there. Don't worry. And
I'm sure you got 7 takers right here.
Yeah.
the really funny, something funny happened this past week. And here in my household, every time I leave for an investigation, I'm told not to bring anyone home with me. Right? And I said, "Well, it's not a big deal. There's already ghosts here." And I got the look of death that I said that out loud. And I said, "Look, it's a 60 or 70-year-old house. Stuff happens, and people have been dying for thousands and thousands of years. There's a chance. There's a good statistical chance there's already a ghost here, So I that did not go over well. I should probably sleep on the couch even now after that." So the opportunity is there, and all of the activity that this property has had through the years, and all the iterations that it's been through, from all the things that has been created there, and a lot of love, for people who owned it, and some of the people who work there. Certainly, I know some were just there for paychecks. So I think it has to have activity, and your stories, your experiences are enough for me to believe all of you, and I trust and I love all you guys. You're all excellent investigators in all the things that you bring to the table. And yeah, even you, Kirsten. I'm saying something nice.
Even me?
It's documented.
I know, I'm over
This
here
is
like-
recorded, so I'm gonna. You got this. So I if you guys say so, I'm absolutely into.
Okay. Yep. I mean, I'm going to have to agree. I mean, I had very limited exposure to the place because I was stuck in one spot, but even there, I definitely felt things. I should have taken the opportunity to go in the cabin when we were up at the campfire, but there was just a lot going on. But I wish I had done that. So, like I said, I'll have to come back up and do it again.
Yeah. So we can go back.
Yep.
It's definitely
Everybody
worth
was eating
it.
treats up at that campfire.
Oh, that was the other thing. We had the para chef there, Jamie. She had a spread and a great campfire stuff, and yeah, Melissa's
That was
sister
awesome.
Lisa did a great job up there as well. So
Yeah,
everybody
she's a
was
rock star.
Barbecue.
yeah.
So good.
So
I had the chicken salad. That was banging.
so All right. Well, we're gonna move on here a little bit. I'm gonna throw this up because right now, Jim, you want to talk about your events that you put on in the mill right now?
Oh, I gotta tell you, we're right in the middle of it. It has been nuts. Opening night was crazy. Friday the 13th, we had a huge crowd. Everybody, again, you guys check out. We're getting great reviews. Everybody loves it. Once again, we got to remember we're a nonprofit, so every body who puts together the Haunted Mill are volunteers, and the money all goes to them. It's a great event. We got 2 more weekends. Please, we hope that the rain holds off. But even with the rain Saturday night, we did have a really big crowd. And tomorrow night or Thursday night's our first lights on. We do behind the scenes. It's a great event if you guys can ever make it for some fun. So thanks. And once again, before I get a chance, you're all invited, of course, to come see the Happy Spirit Christmas time. You'll all be Santa's special guests. So whoever likes to come, just let me know. And I'll make sure that you get the VIP treatment in our winter village.
Okay.
You should do that.
Well,
That's very
Oh,
cool.
that sounds awesome.
Thank you, Jim.
You're all on the
Thank
nice
you.
list. Don't worry.
Oh, that's
Hey.
so check out their website. It's I believe the redmill.org. You can donate through their website. Please, we like to support all these not-for-profit places as well. So if you can reach out, do what you can. We'd appreciate it. The mill would appreciate it. So thanks, Jim, for joining us. It was great to have you on here tonight. Glad you could you got it worked out.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad I didn't get on sooner because I probably would have talked a lot more and took up too much time. So thank you guys for having me.
You bet.
It's a
Bye,
pleasure.
Jim.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
We're just gonna keep on moving, Jamie, because we're almost an hour.
Yeah, we are. Wow, you guys talk a lot. Holy cow. So we got some stuff coming up with Jotniks as the home team. We are going to be this Saturday. We're at the regular spot at Booby's Brewery. There are some tickets left still, but not many. So if anyone's interested, I would not wait too long. Hit the saverstub.com and then
I think there's 10 left.
No,
10.
there are 4 left for this weekend.
Oh,
4.
4
Wow.
left for this weekend.
Faux show. There's only faux.
There's one left on the website for November 4th.
Yep.
But if you wanted to, if there's a couple that wants to come, reach out to the brewery directly. Call them, and they'll get you on. So even though it says one on the website, you can still get on and pay at the door, or pay over the phone.
Yeah, we know people. We'll make it happen. Coming up after that on Thursday, the 26th, this is a fun night for all of us here locally, is the Columbia Mardi Gras Halloween Parade. I said this last week, and I'm not kidding. I've been associated with this thing probably for 45 years of my 50 years of existence. So it is a fun night. The town is packed. There are vendors on the streets. People are just lined the entire 1.5 mile route for the parade. There's very, very few open spots. So it is just so cool. And we're gonna this year's theme, I think, is Wide World of Sports. So we're gonna try to do some fun stuff with that. Jotnik style. And we are 2-time defending champions in our division. So to represent. So we gotta bring it. So if you're around, come see it. It's a fun parade. There's a lot of cool stuff. We got lots of cool things to do in Columbia, PA as well, for that matter. Investigations the rest of the way out to the year. The 4th of November, the 18th. Again, the 4th, there's only a ticket or 2 left. The 18th is a little bit more, and then we get into the holiday season of December with 2 events, the 2nd and 16th. So tickets are still there. So come and join us. The Boobies does a really good job of decorating for the seasons, and Christmas is no exception as well. Just to see the atmosphere of the Central Hotel at holiday time is really cool too. So if you're around, come join us.
All right. Melly Mel says, she had a great time. Can't wait to come to another event. You're welcome at Boobies anytime.
Yeah.
Come join us.
Come on down.
she needs to get to Boobies.
Yeah, that's a couple of us.
Yeah, definitely you.
Well, Jim, you just reach out and let us know when you want to come, and we'll get it arranged.
We got you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yep. Jamie, next week guess what? We got to do this again next week.
What?
Do you
Wait,
remember?
this is a weekly thing? Yeah. So and the next week is me for the host, and we are going to talk about superstitions. So, and I've already done a lot to get ready for this, and there are so many things out there that I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, that one, oh yeah. So we're gonna hopefully try to have some fun with this one, but yeah, and obviously some input from everybody for your favorites or ones you didn't know about. So I'll learn you something, and you'll learn me something back. So it'll be cool.
Yep, sounds good. I think that's about it. Oh, wait, the week after that, Jamie, is Halloween.
Yes, it is. I was waiting for you to say something.
Halloween. And we have a special episode that we're working on for that one. We've already done some pre-work and can't wait to share it.
We did a thing.
Uh-huh.
Was it ghost stuff?
What was that?
I'm so excited for this one. I'm just bouncing on it. So
Oh no.
more to come. More to come. No teasers, just more to come.
So, any final thoughts, guys? I mean, we're at an hour. You know, Jamie, we don't talk this much. That's for sure.
It is past our bedtime.
Put a bunch of
Way
women
past
on,
mine, that's for sure.
Well, thank you for having us on.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you for
Yeah,
joining.
thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight as a guest, and I also want to thank everybody who watched the show. It was great to have a bunch of people tonight, and anybody who's going to watch it as a recording later, we appreciate it. Feel free to reach out to us through the Facebook page and say hello. Give us your ideas, thoughts. We love feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And anything you want us to cover, you know, we're open-ended. So feel free. If there's a place you'd like us to talk about, or you know, share some knowledge of, or just topics, feel free to drop us a line.
If you have a topic that you want to share, you know, we'll do that too. We'll bring guests on and let them talk about it. So, okay. All right.
And guys, thank you. We can't do this without y'all. So we'll see these people, our friendly faces here very soon, very, very soon. In some cases, hopefully soon for others. And Jim, we're coming, buddy. So rest up.
All right. Looking forward to it.
We'll see you in the spring, though. So you got some time.
All right. Looking forward to it. Thanks again, everybody.
All right. Thanks.
As well.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night, all.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.